Hi, I'm Tyler Peterson. I'm a teacher and energy channel, and this is my September alignment where I teach about the skills of multidimensional leadership and I offer a free energy alignment session. So today, in the first half of this video, I'll talk about multidimensional leadership. And if you stay tuned, in the second half, I'll offer a free alignment energy session where I channel energies that accelerate your process and your journey of self-realization. They're powerful, they're visceral, and they feel wonderful. So I hope you'll stick around to enjoy those. So multidimensional leadership. You know, Einstein had a quote that I love. He said, and I'm just paraphrasing here, but our problems cannot be solved with the same level of thinking that we use to create them. And I love that quote, but I like a variation of it, and that is that we can't solve our problems with the same level of consciousness that we use to create them. And to me, that's really what's going on right now in our world. We're seeing, or at least I'm seeing, and I think maybe you are too, that there are kind of two pathways that are growing more and more obvious each day. Two pathways of leadership. And there's one that has been is well worn and we're very familiar with for millennia. And it's a pathway, a level of consciousness that is characterized to some extent, that has these qualities from time to time, or sometimes more often, sometimes very explicitly and regularly, qualities of fear, of division, of conflict, of scarcity, of control. And we can all see that. We can look around our world and see those qualities in certain leaders, or those qualities being manifest in different narratives or agendas. So that's one path. What's the other path? The other path is one of a higher frequency, of a higher level of consciousness. It's a choice. And we as leaders have a choice which path we'd like to go down. And this latter choice of a higher level of consciousness can be connotated by a few different qualities. And the ones I like to think of are the qualities of abundance, of love, of compassion, of mutual respect, and of personal sovereignty. Those are just to name a few. Now, when you think of the qualities of the first path and you think of the qualities of the second path, you probably have a visceral physical sensation that you sense to each of those ways. And one probably doesn't feel good to you, and the other way probably feels a lot better. And that's our own body, our own system, giving us a little guidance about what direction we might want to consider moving in. A little hint from within ourselves. So if we desire to transform our world for the better, it's my conviction that we need to raise our frequency and we need to start leading from a higher level of consciousness. Our life, our leadership, indeed our whole world, when you add all of us up together, is a reflection of our inner states, the quality of our inner states and our level of consciousness. And the solution to these challenges that we see on a global level lie within each of us, especially within us leaders, understanding for ourselves that all change starts within. Be the change you want to see in the world. Another famous quote, Gandhi, love that quote. It couldn't be more true. So as a leader, you have a choice to make. And the first step in that choice to raising your consciousness is choosing to be a multidimensional leader. And so what do I mean by that? What is multidimensional leadership? It is the ability to fully inhabit both your humanity and your divinity at the same time, and to begin creating consciously. Now, if you're like me, and I'm sure there are many of us out there, we may be viscerally aware that we are more than human, that there's another part, another aspect, another dimension to our being. And there's all sorts of words that we have for this, that people have for this: higher self, soul, true nature, divinity. Choose whatever word works for you. The point is that you, if you're watching this video, probably have a sense of that, a direct sense, maybe a direct experience of it. But certainly at a very minimum, you have a sense or a feeling that, yeah, there's more to you than just your humanity. So that's what multidimensional leadership is. It's the ability, developed through skills and practices, to live both fully human and fully divine at the same time, here, right now, in this moment, and to create consciously. It's a powerful thing to realize that we're multidimensional and that there are leadership skills associated with being multidimensional. So I hope you'll continue following me as we discuss this a little bit more. So why would you want to do that? Why would you want to become a multidimensional leader? It's because we are inherently powerful, creative beings, and we actually create our individual realities. And collectively, these individual realities add up to be our collective reality. We're creating through our collective consciousness. And from that aspect of our being, from the aspect of our collective consciousness, we're able to look at problems differently. We're able to, because it's at a higher level of consciousness, we're able to envision solutions and new ideas beyond what we could have at a lower level of consciousness or just doing it on our own. And we're able to collaborate in ways that we've been unable to fathom before. So this really is the way we completely transform our civilization by each of us as leaders making the decision to raise our frequency, to start leading from a higher level of consciousness, and then to begin collaborating and working consciously with other multidimensional leaders to work through our collective consciousness to affect change. I don't know about you, but I've always had this desire and this sense that it was important to me, that I wanted to contribute to something bigger than just me, that this life wasn't just about my pleasures and my personal experience. Certainly that's important. I'm not trying to say that that's not important, but that's not all there is. That I wanted to be a part of something bigger than me. I wanted to make a contribution along with other people that created some enduring change, some lasting change. And maybe that resonates with you. Maybe you share that aspiration. Maybe you also have this inner knowing that there's more to you than just what you've sensed and known up till now. And that you want to realize that aspect of yourself, that divine aspect of yourself. Well, multidimensional leadership is just that. It's a set of practices and skills to help you come into greater contact with that multidimensional aspect of our being, our divinity, higher self, soul, choose your word, whatever works for you. This knowing, this experience that we're more than just human, and that there's a way that we can live both as fully human and as fully divine at the same time. That's multidimensional leadership. And there are a few foundational principles. These are physics principles, not spiritual principles. And they are, among many of them, they are, you are source. You are multidimensional, as we talked about. You are, in fact, energy with consciousness. That's what we are at our most fundamental level, source, energy with consciousness. And we're endowed with the same creative abilities as source, which I'll talk about more in just a moment. Some of the other foundational principles are everything is frequency. Again, these are physics principles, understanding how our world works, who and what we are. And another foundational principle is that our frequency is our greatest contribution. In other words, our level of consciousness, the frequency at which we dwell is always and forever radiating out into our world, contributing to our collective consciousness. So first and foremost, when we seek to make a contribution to something bigger than ourselves, we always have to look within and seek to realize something higher within ourselves. That's the starting place. And when more and more of us start doing that and coming into greater contact with one another through our collective consciousness, we become consciously aware of other individuals residing at higher levels of frequency, higher levels of consciousness. We can begin collaborating and creating, as I mentioned earlier, in ways beyond what we can currently imagine or envision. We become very powerful beings. So those are some of the foundational principles. Some of the skills and practices that involve multidimensional leadership are, of course, meditation, going within, entering silence, which I'll talk about more in a second, coming into greater alignment. And by alignment, I mean greater alignment between our humanity and our divinity, so that we are living both of them fully, presently, in this now moment. Processing emotion. Everything is frequency. Emotions are just energy. They're just frequency. And oftentimes we have them stuck or lodged in our system. We don't process them, we bury them, we stuff them down. And that's probably one of the worst things we can do. Energy moves. It's meant to move, to rise and fall. There's constant change, creation, destruction. Emotions are something that's meant to live and be expressed and experienced through us and move out and away, not something to be trapped and diminished and pushed away. So processing emotion to release those things is very important. Releasing limitations. This deals with beliefs that we hold that don't serve us, that are keeping us disconnected from our innate knowing and understanding that we are source, that we are incredibly powerful as conscious and creative beings. So we have to release some of those beliefs so we can come back into greater contact with that knowing and that understanding of ourselves. And then, of course, creating consciously. As we engage in all these skills, we're always creating our reality all the time. But now we can start doing it more consciously, more deliberately, choosing what we want, taking responsibility for our choices, seeing how those moments when we're unable to create the thing we want, and doing a little investigation using our intellect, our critical thinking, and our intuition also to understand in what ways we've been cutting ourselves off from being able to create something. So, and then to move on to actually create that. Those are some of the skills and the foundational principles of multidimensional leadership. And now, in this video, I want to just talk about one of them briefly for a few more minutes, and that's the skill of meditation, and specifically the skill of quieting your mind, of entering silence. So some of you may be familiar with meditation. You may have your own practice. That's amazing. You may also be aware there are lots of different forms of meditation. And the one I'm talking about today is very straightforward. It is a practice of resting your awareness at the end of your nose, just right here, just at the tip of your nose, the very bottom where the nostrils are, and allowing yourself to rest your awareness there and experience the movement of your breath, the sensation of your breathing, the air passing back and forth over your nostrils, over the tip of your nose. What this does is it gives our human mind, which is designed to think, to solve problems, to look and identify patterns, to keep us safe. It gives, and it's always active, it's what it's supposed to be doing, it gives our human mind something to rest on, something to, I imagine it just laying down and relaxing. By doing this, we lower our brainwave state. We lower our brainwave state. We relax our body. We relax our human mind. And this helps us to become more present and more aware in the moment. And with practice and with time, I'm not claiming that. I'm sure there are some people, the first time they tried this, they had a tremendous experience. Those people exist. You may be one of them. If you've never meditated before or tried this before, try it. Who knows? You could be one of those people. I was not one of those people. I was one of those people who it's taken some time and some practice to quiet my mind and to start having a visceral experience of when the human mind quiets down, that our awareness begins to open and expand and kind of shift into the perspective of our divinity, becoming more aware of our divinity. The divine aspect of ourselves starts to come forward and be more present in our awareness. And now this isn't something separate than us. This is us. We are divine also. It's just a different dimension of ourselves. Like I said, we're multidimensional. And to be a multidimensional leader, this is one of the foundational skills and practices, and that's entering silence. Practicing this meditation and realizing a level of skill where your mind completely quiets. It's settled. Thoughts aren't arising. Your awareness isn't distracted and going to different places. You're not sensing, feeling, thinking, emoting in any way whatsoever. You're just present to the moment. And this is when we enter into silence and become aware and shift into that divine perspective, that divine aspect of ourselves. So, to raise our frequency, to raise our level of consciousness, to begin really developing these skills as a multidimensional leader. This is foundational. This is one of the most essential practices and skills to develop. I encourage you to start doing this. I recommend the breath. It doesn't have to be the breath. It can be your heartbeat. It can be a sound, something that is present that you can rest your awareness on that isn't overpowering. And I prefer the breath just because it's with us. We can take it wherever we go. It's one less thing to pack when we leave the house. It's ever present and we can always tune into it. The other thing I want to say is if you've given this practice a shot in the past and you found it difficult or challenging, I can identify with that. That was my experience also. And it is one of those things that's a little beguiling. It's very simple to explain. It seems very simple to do, but it actually takes some skill and time and patience, giving yourself the opportunity to develop this skill. So I would encourage you to revisit this practice if you've tried it in the past and experienced some frustration or ran out of patience to see some progress. Part of the reason I'm encouraging you to do this again is because the times we live in, the energies within which we live have shifted. There's a paradigm shift happening here right now for humanity and for all of Earth. And these abilities and skills are more accessible to us. We're able to develop them a little more quickly than in the past. Think of a sailboat on the water, and there's a nice, steady breeze behind the boat, carrying it along its course. Just the boat doesn't have to do anything. It just has to move with the wind and be carried along. There are energies present now here supporting us to raise our frequency, to realize a higher level of consciousness, and to become more skillful in practices like this. So if you've tried this in the past and you felt frustrated by it, please definitely try it again and see what your experience is. I have a funny feeling it'll be a little easier for you this time, but just go for it. Give it a shot. So, okay, that is kind of the teaching about multidimensional leadership today. And I want to move into the alignment session. And before I do that, just a few final words, because when we come out of the alignment session, you really don't want to hear me chat much. You just want to maintain and continue imbibing in these beautiful energies. So a few brief things I want to say is if you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and to my newsletter. You can go to tylerpeterson.org and sign up for the newsletter free. You'll be notified each month when I release these videos. And you'll also be notified when I release guest interviews, interviewing people where we talk about topics of multidimensional leadership, frequency, our collective consciousness, our inherent power to create through our consciousness, and other similar topics that help us as leaders to have a greater understanding of who and what we are and the power of our consciousness, and empower us to start realizing those things for ourselves, to encourage us to become multidimensional leaders. So I encourage you to sign up for the newsletter so you can be informed of all of those things. And then I'm releasing our program, a 6-week program called Multidimensional Leadership. It's a combination of both live over Zoom as well as recorded teachings and lessons, practices and skills that we'll be doing as a group over 6 weeks. And this course is designed to give you a foundation, a grounding in all the fundamental principles, practices, and skills of multidimensional leadership so you can begin developing these things for yourself, begin stepping into and becoming a multidimensional leader. That course will launch later this fall. So keep an eye out for that. Sign up for the newsletter to be notified. It's coming soon, and we're very excited to share that with you. And the final thing is, for those of you who are already engaged in this work and you really want to go deeper and master these skills and these practices, then I encourage you to look at our Amplify community. It's where multidimensional leaders come together to work together to master the skills of multidimensional leadership, raise their frequency, and begin working together through our collective consciousness to create and ultimately not just transform ourselves, not just transform our leadership, but also transform our world to be a part of something bigger than ourselves that makes a meaningful and lasting impact in the world. So be sure to check that out. Okay, so now let's move on to the alignment energy session. For those of you who are new, the alignment energy session is when I channel energies and they'll come through me to you. They are individually tailored and unique. They read your frequency and understand what would be most beneficial to you now in this moment and work to raise and to elevate your frequency to help you have the experience of a higher level of consciousness. There's nothing you need to do. This is really an exercise in being receptive. On my end, my role is to open to these energies and then to kind of step back and out of the way, let them come through and do their work. I'll be quiet. I'll lead us into a gently guided meditation at the beginning, and then I'll be quiet. I'll say I'm opening to the energies, and I'll just be sitting in silence. I'll be doing my own meditation, allowing the energies to flow through. On your end, like I said, there's nothing you need to do. It's just a matter of being open and receptive, have a relaxed mind, and being willing to receive. It's such a different skill that we need to practice, that we're not used to practicing so many times, to receive instead of give. You know, these are an unconditional gift, and really that's your role, just to be open and receptive. You can meditate if you'd like to. You don't have to. This is not a meditation, quote unquote. It's, again, just a period of time where you want to be relaxed, have your mind be relaxed, and be open. If you can do that while meditating, great. If you'd prefer not to, that works just as well. Be comfortable. You don't want your body to be talking to you or aching, so sit however you'd like to sit. If you need to lay down, feel free to lay down. That's fine too. If you need to shift during the alignment, that's okay. Do what you need to do to be comfortable. Okay, that's it. Let's begin. And as always, I just want to start by asking for your permission to do this alignment. So if I have your permission, go ahead and say yes out loud or yes quietly to yourself. And okay, and with that, let's get started. I'll just invite you to close your eyes. And let's bring our awareness to our breathing, breathing in through our nose and a longer, slower exhale out through our mouth. And just settling into your own natural, easy rhythm of breathing. And now establishing our grounding, so feeling that connection, sensing, opening to that connection with earth. And just setting that intention, I am grounded. Maybe becoming aware of what that feels like, sensing the connection all the way down to the center of earth, feeling some energy in your feet, the base of your spine, feeling your body relax. These are all ways you might sense that connection. And now bringing our awareness to our heart centers and just resting your awareness there. Bring to mind an image of nature or of an animal, anything that brings a smile to your face. It'll just help you rest in your heart center. And now setting our first intention, and that is to be present to this experience. So I encourage you to go ahead and say, I set the intention to be present to this experience. And then setting our second and final intention, and that is to be open to receive all that is for our highest good. So go ahead and set that intention. I am open to receive all that is for my highest good. Okay, I'm going to open to the channel and set my timer, and I'll call us back in 15 minutes. So here we go. Okay, come on back. That's the end of the alignment. I hope you had a wonderful experience. And listen to your body in the next couple of days if you need more rest, more water, healthier food, nature, exercise. Really honor whatever you're feeling you need. That'll help these energies to integrate further into your system and support you as you work to become a multidimensional leader. All right. Thank you for your time today, and take care. Bye-bye.